Hi, Judah Nation. Angie Hipple here. And it's another glorious live stream. Here we go. We're just going to dive in and let Judah riff on anything they want to talk about. Hello, hello, all you precious ones in the Judah Nation, a growing consciousness of love, of light, of divinity, of strength, yes, of courage, of every good and admirable quality you might think of, yes, and also including all your flaws as you think of them and foibles and so on, your mistakes, your flubs, your trips and falls. All of those are welcome as well. You are welcome, welcome, welcome. Everyone is a potential candidate for this consciousness. We don't screen you. We don't interview you. We don't assess you. There's no competition. This is a family in which you are warmly welcome. And there are no black sheeps in this family. There's nothing you can do to disqualify yourself from being a part of this loving group. Yes. And so, even in this loving consciousness here, we would like to rewrite the concepts you might have of family. So, you see that when you hear the word family, connected to all of that is every experience you've ever had with or without family, with surrogate families, adopted families, your bloodline families, and so on. Yes. And these are lots and lots and lots of memories. And of course, many of them are good. And some of the ones that might be the most intrusive or informing, we will say, of your current experience, of course, would be those that were painful. And of course, there is pain in the family. Yes, because your family are the ones that are supposed to love and care for you above all others, your mother and father and your other caregivers, your siblings, and so on. Yes. And obviously, it is a part of the human condition to wound one another in the process of learning how to love and forgive. Yes. And so we understand there can be a myriad of difficult thoughts, feelings, and memory structures attached to this word family. So may we treat this for you this evening? Yes, let's begin. And so, dear one, we tag and treat this word called family. Now, later, when you have some time, sit alone, yes, and meditate on this word family and let all your thoughts and feelings about it come up. What are your belief systems about family? Well, families are traitors. Well, families are full of rules and rigid expectations, or families can never be pleased. What are your particular belief systems around family? Yes. So meditate on these and let them arise in you. Observe them. Allow yourself to come in alignment with your higher self. If you'd like, you can invite us in. Judah, can you please help me with this meditation and clearing around family? And we will certainly show up for you for that very important deliverance, we will say. And so meditate about family. What feelings come up for you? What thoughts come up for you? What do you believe about family? What are your expectations of family? And they might sound something like this. Well, family members should call me on my birthday. Family members should show up for me when I am sick, and so on and so on and so on. Yours being unique to you. And so right now, in advance of your engaging this meditation, we want to begin by tagging for you every memory, every negative emotion, every predisposition and part and patterned response around this word family and your interactions with family. And some of you will say, well, Judah, we don't have a family. Well, that's something that needs to be treated then, isn't it? Yes? And so we tag and treat all of your experience around family in order that it be completely cleared in all realms of time and space, in the past, in the present, in the future, in parallel realities. In all realms of time and space, may your complete and total experience around family be healed. And all the positive memories and aspects of the story of your soul around family, may those come up to the forefront and be integrated in with your higher self. And may all that is hurt and painful be forgiven and released now. Yes? Good. And so we will tell you what this vessel was taught by her loving partner. And that is, you have the choice. Your family is a choice. Yes? Families of intention. So we understand that you may feel like you did not choose your family, that it just happened to you in some cosmic accidental way. But we assure you that is not true. Before you were born, you looked down from, we will say down loosely, but you will understand if we say it that way. You look down in the company of your angels and source, in your divine's in innocent state, and you considered, where should I be born, and to whom, and for what purpose? And you spent a lot of time in your concept of time contemplating this and planning for your next incarnation. So you see, it wasn't an accident that you were born. To whom you were born to. It wasn't an accident if you were abandoned, if you were adopted, if someone tried to abort you. None of this is an accident. You knew these things going into the situation. In fact, some of you chose the parents that you chose, because from your very divine perspective, you could see how hurting they were and how much they needed love, how unloved they felt. Now then, in the density and complexity of life as a human, sometimes you might get it mixed up, and then you've come and you've incarnated and you think, why don't my parents love me? And so there's a part of you, the divine part of you, that has been shadowed or overshadowed or shrouded, and you forget that you came to love them, not the other way around, you see. Now, this vessel sometimes is very concerned because she works with many, many, many of you who have given up on family. You've given up on your bloodline family altogether. She speaks to the mothers and fathers and grandmothers who are not allowed to see their children or their children's children anymore due to the choices of their children. And this is extraordinarily painful for them, very painful. And then, of course, there are the daughters and sons that she speaks to who have cut off relationships with parents and siblings and so on, because they are hurting inside. They have young hurting parts and they want to stop hurting. And so you might think that in cutting someone out of your life altogether, that you will stop hurting. Now, there is a time to release someone completely from your life. You are on a different trajectory than they are. You are headed toward embodying all of your enlightened self. Yes, but we would say that a ruthless amputation of various family members is not generally the way to go. Now, there are always exceptions to this, and we are speaking carefully because your situation is unique to you. But we want to help you understand that just by cutting someone out of your life doesn't mean you will heal. You may think it, and it is a falsity. For this is what we want to say about family. There are external families, yes, the people in your life, but there is an internal family, you see, within you. There are your young parts, your infant parts, your 1-year-old parts, your 2-year-old parts, your 3-year-old parts, your 15-year-old parts, your 20-year-old parts. And all of these parts are your inner family. They have many different roles. They have roles such as wife, mother, teacher, businessman, service-oriented, yes? Many different aspects and parts. We teach a lot about this here. Keep coming back for that. And there are many other viable teachers teaching about this. And it's not something in the imagination of an unseen being of Judah. It is a reality. It is a scientifically understood reality. And so each of you has an inner family. Yes, you might have many, many parts. Most people have around 200. People who have extreme trauma have many more than that. And so understand that your soul, your higher self, is intended to be the parent, the loving parent, both the father and the mother for all of these parts. And until you realize that, perhaps even in the hearing of it right here and now, something just awoke in you. Yes? Until you are aware that it is you that is needed to be the parent. When we say you, we're speaking of your higher self. Yes? Then your inner parts are running around like feral children. And this is like the old poem. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. And so the story goes that they were completely out of control and she never had enough to feed them and so on. And so this is how you will feel about your inner life. You can meditate yourself into oblivion. And we're not saying don't meditate. Listen carefully. We want you to meditate because meditating will teach you how to distinguish between your higher self and these parts. Because in meditation, your higher self becomes front and center. Yes? However, we will tell you that meditation should not be used in order to avoid the pain or avoid caring for these inner children of yours. What would you think of a mother who had many young children, and yet she would go into her bedroom and shut and lock the door and meditate for hours on end and leave the children unattended? Well, you would say that's very irresponsible. Yes, and we would agree. But my dears, this is what you're unconsciously doing many times. You use spiritual practices, spiritual teachings, meditation. You use many different types of spiritual practices to avoid the feral children that are running loose inside of you willy-nilly and destroying your life, destroying your inner life and destroying your outer life in many cases. If you have a young, fragile, very hurting part, perhaps a part that's very angry, and rightly so, because it was hurt and abused and taken advantage of in some unrighteous way, we will say, as when you were young. And so if that part is not addressed, it will continue to pop up in your current experience and ruin your life. For if you are one of those who has a young, angry, hurting part, if you allow this part to continually take the helm of your life and, let's say, interact with your partner, you might find your partner leaving you before too long, you see. And so this is your time. Begin to be a loving parent to your inward parts. You see, many of you are in a big hurry to cut your unconscious and perhaps unloving family out of your life. But what is needed first is to look at your inner family and get your inner family in alignment. Take responsibility for what is going on in your house. You see, there's your house that you live in with your family members, but the house of your body, of your mind, will, and emotions, there are many family members in there as well. So why bother telling your wife or your children or your partners how they should live when you have a family inside of you that's gone awry, that's gone amok, and it's chaos in there, you see? So here again, we are encouraging you. Focus on yourself, my dear. Focus on yourself. Do your inner work. Now, this vessel keeps pointing to this for you, and we assure you that she is always doing her inner work. She understands this is absolutely of the utmost importance, that she cannot offer you any freedom that she has not obtained for herself. And so she is doing all these things that she is sharing with you. Yes? Yes. Good. Now, this vessel has prepared for you Judah treats in conjunction with our assistance in order to help you with all of these feral children. Yes? And we can most certainly very easily treat these lovely parts. Yes, very easily treat these parts. And you will do this inside of this Judah Treats program. Yes? And we will continue doing it with you as well in these free videos to the best of our ability. But you must do some work. You must be a loving parent. You must step up and take responsibility for what is going on in your inner house. If you have a hurting, fragile part, you must love that part. You must stop wishing that that part would disappear or go away, or locking yourself in the room and meditating and ignoring the crying child that is outside of your door. You see, yes? And so begin to love these parts, have conversations with them, yes? Listen to them, find out why they are hurting, stop ignoring them, give them attention, give them your intention. And when you meet one of these parts, say very intentionally, Judah and superconscious, speaking of your higher self, Judah and superconscious, please tag and treat this part and heal it. Heal it in every realm of time and space. Heal it safely, gently, with complete respect. Heal it, heal it, heal it. Neutralize all the negative emotion and all the negative memories associated with this part and integrate it back into my higher self. Yes, yes. And reinforce all the positive aspects. For what you will find, my dears, is that every part of you is valuable. Every part. Even the ones that you feel are causing you such distress. Yes, this vessel had a part that would appear when it was triggered by what she perceived to be a rejection or abandonment by the primary love relationship in her life. And so if this primary lover in her life would say something that she perceived to be rejecting or abandoning, this would trigger this young part to come front and center. And it was as if she was driving the car of her life, living her life as her higher fifth dimensional self, doing very well. And then a comment or look or whatever would trigger. And it was as if this young 5-year-old girl came and forcefully pushed her across from the driver's seat into the passenger seat and took the wheel. And then with a little child behind the wheel, well, you can be certain someone's going to be hurt, can't you? Yes? And so this had happened enough times, and it was very upsetting for the vessel. In her inner being, as her higher self, and in conjunction with us, she understood this is not who I am. This is not an expression of divinity. This is not who I want to be. This is not in alignment for me. And I don't like this feeling of being out of control. Yes? And she knew it was a young part, and she knew exactly what was triggering it. So then where was the sticking point? The sticking point was she wanted to be rid of this child. She wanted this child to sit down and shut up. She wanted the child to go away. She wanted this part of her to not exist. She wanted to amputate it. And this is where you must be careful around ego teachings, yes? Ego is the conditioning, but it is not the part. It is not the part of the inner being. So, for instance, with a child such as this one, the ego conditioning was that she should sit down and be quiet and not cause a disturbance, not attract attention to herself, that she need not be heard because she was a child. This is the conditioning. The conditioning is the thought processes and programs, the programming of the mind that is installed either consciously or unconsciously by society, parents, educators, religious training, society, media, and so on. That is the ego. And so this young part, of course, was conditioned by the ego, and that is that. But the part is not some ego enemy that needs to be rid of. And so she struggled along with this for a while, and she kept asking for our help, and we were providing it. And then there came a time where we said to her very clearly, listen, dear one, it's time for you to love every part of yourself. Yes? And you're not going to get past these episodes, these uncomfortable happenings, these triggers. They're not going to go away until you are committed to love this little one who was very much hurt and abandoned at the age of 5. Yes? And so she began, when these triggers would come and this young one would appear, she determined to love her, love her, love her, love her, listen to her, let her act in any way she saw fit, love her. And we will tell you that in short order, this little young fragile part began to feel comforted, heard, seen, accepted, understood, listened to. She was allowed to grieve. The little part was allowed to grieve. You see, she finally realized, oh, I see, there is an adult here. There is an adult in the house. There is a loving mother and father here. Oh, I see, it's Angie. Oh, I see, she's 53. Oh, I see, yes, I see, she's a good mother. She's a good grandmother. She's a wonderful, I see, she's not going to let anyone hurt me again. Okay, now I feel safe. I feel safe. And so the young part ceased to act out. So children, why do they act out? We're speaking of natural children, human children. They act out because they feel unloved. They don't feel listened to. They don't feel heard. They are not being given the nurture and attention they need. It's not because they are evil. Yes? And so it is the same with your inner parts, my dear. Now, we've gone on quite a bunny trail here tonight. Yes, as this vessel says, bunny trail. We don't know what that means, but we want you to know, we're going to summarize it here for you. Before you make drastic changes in your external family, sometimes you must make them. Sometimes you are unsafe or your children are unsafe. And we never want you to allow yourself to be physically harmed in any way or continually battered by another. Yes? So we understand that. But some of you, however, you might want to sit tight for a little bit. Yes? And before you make dramatic changes in your external family relationships, look instead at your internal family and begin there. And the Christ said it this way. He said, why do you look at another person and say, oh, my dear, you have a splinter in your eye. Let me help you get that splinter out. When you have a log in your own eye, first get the log out of your eye before helping the other in front of you. And so this is the same principle here. You see, love your inner parts. Love your inner parts. Yes, all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly, the skilled, the unskilled, the wise, the foolish, you see, the lustful, the loving, all of them, love them all. Listen to them, develop relationships with them. And you can balance this with your desire to develop relationships with angels and with Source and with the ascended masters. Yes? And in doing this, you see, you will have more balance in your life. Because when it comes to these things that you call chakras, we're not wanting you to simply develop your higher chakras and forget the lower. Sometimes you all in this a circle called the New Age, or whatever you want to call it, you have an idea that the lower chakras are bad and the higher ones are good. Well, we disagree. What we want for you is that you could be completely balanced in all of your chakras, that all of your chakras be whole and healthy and spinning energetic centers that are connected, and there is a complete and total flow, top to bottom and bottom to top. So the way that you have a healthy heart chakra, yes, and your lower chakras are healthy by doing this sort of inner family work we are speaking of. And then your higher chakras are open and spinning and operating as you do work with angels and source and ascended masters and your higher self and oversoul. Yes. And you are learning how to do that through this channel. Yes. Stick around, keep learning. This vessel is amazed when she listens to many of you who are so dedicated. You listen to everything that is put out here. And when she meets you face to face and speaks with you, she is profoundly amazed at the level of your spiritual and emotional maturity and your mental acuity. She is astounded at your spiritual growth. You have literally done this for yourselves. You have created this growth for yourselves. And she could not be more pleased. She could not be more pleased or more proud. Yes? And then the lower chakras, as you work with this inner family, you can do it through the Judah Treats program, and you can do it through the True You Accelerator program, or you can do it by listening to these videos, yes, and then engaging later in your own private meditation. But if you have a balance of doing your inner family work and then work with your heavenly family, your etheric family, then you will be a whole person, a happy person, a joyful person, a human person having a spiritual experience, and a spiritual being having a human experience. And everything will come into alignment, and the troublesome parts in your inner family will relax and release and let go. And then you will ascend. For some of these beautiful, precious, hurting parts of you are like ballast in your life. You feel it. They cause you to feel stuck. They cause you to feel hindered from manifesting what you want. And they are hindering you. But understand that they are not some sort of a block that can never be moved or removed. There's nothing wrong with you. That's what we want you to understand. There is only a part that needs a little more love, a little more patience, a little more attention. Yes? And many of these parts will swiftly and quickly fall into alignment with the Judah Treats. Yes? And you will learn through this program, you will learn how to be a loving parent and how to give commands respectfully to all your young feral parts, and they will come into alignment because they trust you, because you are learning. You are learning how to be attentive, loving parent, which is the higher self, which is your divine self, your divine connection to your Father, Mother, God. Yes? Now, sometimes this vessel hears various ones of you who are offended by the term Father God. Yes? And we have no problem with any designation that you might give to God, or if you prefer not to have a designation at all, we are fine with that too. We understand that the word God is loaded. We understand the word Father is loaded. Universal consciousness, all that is, higher self, higher power. It does not matter to us. And really, frankly, we could use almost any word and someone would be offended by the word or not feel resonant with the word. We understand that because you have very varied and wide range of experiences. Yes? And frankly, even if you worked only with your higher self for the rest of your life, this would be enough to bring major transformation to the journey of your soul. But back to these thoughts about Father. Some of you who have made this comment are saying it because you have father wounds. You have father wounds, and you have wounds from stepfathers. You have wounds from a patriarchal culture. Yes. And this reaction that you have given to this vessel when she says the word father, when we say the word father through her, is because you are hurt. Yes. And so she will not engage you in justifying, arguing, defending, or explaining our use of this word, but will only, through this conversation, lovingly point to your hurt, my dear. And she is here to be both a loving mother and a loving father to you. Yes? Good. Okay, it's time for us to go. We have talked plenty for this evening. We love you very much. If this conversation resonates with you, please join us in Judah Treats, and we will be there present for you like a nanny, like an angel nanny to help you, yes, to be this loving mother, father that you need to be for your inner family. And we will make quick and light work of it, quick and light work of it, as is said by the old folks. Many hands make light work. Yes, good. Wonderful. We love you so much. That was a lot of fun. That was unexpected. I had no idea what was coming out. And that was really helpful for me too. I love you guys so much. We're here to serve you the best way that we can within our human limitations. And Judah is always available to serve you without limitations. And I know that that's true for you because I get your messages all the time about how you're channeling Judah and Judah's working with you and speaking with you. We love you so much. We'll see you again soon.